District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter. My name is Chris Rochester. I live in Rochester, New York. I'm an innocent man. I've been in jail 6 times. 6 times a prosecutor from the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley has not talked. Not one sentence. Not one sound. Not one syllable. What are the names of my prosecutors? Silence. District Attorney Sandra Doorley. This document here will arrive in your office either today or tomorrow via Federal Express. I just started using Federal Express because I have communicated with you using the United States Postal Service and UPS. So, it says here, the first document you will see if you open it. One judge, the corruption of Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. One of you psychopaths in your little shack at the District Attorney's Office, 47 South Fitchurus, forced me into one judge where I don't have due process. Without one judge, Paul C. Metzer and John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Penfield Town Court and Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court can declare me guilty. Who is it? What is the identification of the prosecutor's silence at the District Attorney's Office? You will continue to refuse. And when I contact the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., I'll inform its employees that for 18 months, I've demanding this. I've already informed the Department of Justice employee that I'm doing this to you. And this is Trinity Ross, the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York in Buffalo. Whenever a document arrives in your office, I also send it to Ms. Ross. So this is what arrived in your office via Federal Express, where it says, one judge, the corruption of Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra. Here's all your emails here, Psychopaths Incorporated. That's the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office. And then this here is an 8.5 by 11 document. That's 40 pages. Where it says Vice, District Attorney Sandra, Sheriff Todd Baxter, Alex Renzi. And then I have here another link, answers at First District Attorney Perry Duckles of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. I contacted you on Perry Duckles on January 1, demanding you disclose the names of my prosecutors. And that's in here. So this says February 16th, read the attached PDF that is Freedom of Information Law, comply with the attached PDF that is Freedom of Information Law, disclose the names of my prosecutors, silence, resign. And then I have a YouTube link, Sheriff Todd Baxter, $16,000 pay raise freak, 83291 Shannon M. Meyer. About her. Here or up here. This is in your office via Federal Express. February 14th, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley resign. Zealous misconduct fleeced. It's misconduct because Chief of the Grand Jury Bureau, Michelle Crowley, indicts me, and I don't know the grand jury's convened. She doesn't call me as a witness. Is there a transcript to that grand jury where Michael C. Houlihan perjured himself? You know what I'm talking about, Michelle Crowley. I wouldn't be surprised if you exist in complete ignorance. Zealots. He's zealous because you're simply refusing to provide information to me when I'm using a legally binding document. That's the Freedom of Information Law. Then you, Todd Baxter, sent Corey Brown and Michael Fowler to Saratoga, New York. Why? When they work in Monroe County. When I contact Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli to ask of him that you be audited, this is what I'm going to cite. These two employees make more money than you, and not just by $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. $155,000 Corey Brown is paid $23,000 more than you. $163,000 Michael Fowler is paid $31,000 more than you. This YouTube is called Fleeced. Sheriff Todd Baxter sends $155,000 Corey Brown and Michael Fowler to Saratoga, New York. And you did comply with the FOIL about how much this trip costs. I don't know off the top of my head what it was. I'm going to talk about this again. If you're sending Corey Brown and Michael Fowler out of Rochester, Monroe County, like you sent Ryan Fisher to Atlanta, Georgia, your employees are doing this all the time and fleecing the taxpayers. And you, Todd Baxter, have been to Washington, D.C. Now, you listen to me, you Benito Mussolini skinhead. How much did you gouge taxpayers to go to Washington, D.C. to talk to the House Rules Committee? Do you understand the House Rules Committee is an internal committee for the parliamentary procedures of the United States House of Representatives? It sets the time on debate. It is an extremely powerful committee that was once chaired by Congressman Gerald Solomon of New York. The House Rules Committee, Todd Baxter, is for the internal operations of the House of Representatives when legislation is introduced on the floor. It has nothing to do with law enforcement, you Benito Mussolini skinhead. And if you're going to testify in Washington, D.C., the committee in the House to testify before is the House Judiciary Committee, where my former boss, Congressman Lamar Smith of Texas, was the chairman of the House Subcommittee on Courts, the Internet, and Intellectual Property. That's where any sheriff testifies. The House Judiciary Committee. And there you are in Siberia with the House Rules Committee. Why? Did you approach a local Congress or a member of Congress, the Rochester office for Senator Charles Schumer, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and invite yourself to D.C.? How did you wind up in Washington, D.C., you Benito Mussolini skinhead, when your job is in Rochester, New York? How much was the hotel if, in fact, you stayed in a hotel? Perhaps it was a one-day trip. But you drove down there. You traveled there. You arrived. Was it a plane? Did you drive? What are the answers to these? This is where there's no accountability for you, and I have called the previous YouTube accountability. Because you don't think you're accountable to anyone or anything. You do whatever the hell you want. And doing whatever the hell you want has your employees violently attacking me. There's no accountability for those employees violently attacking me. So, this is what's arriving here. Misconduct, Chief of the Grand Jury Bureau, Michelle Crowley. It's a perfect word for you, Michelle Crowley. You just wanted to smash me into a million little pieces with this grand jury. How did you select the grand jurors? It's 18 to 24. 18 to 24 anonymous idiots that you want to be idiots. When Michael C. Houlihan perjured himself when he said I swung a hammer at him on my back porch in Penfield. Did you pre-interview Michael Houlihan before he testified to the grand jury? When he said I swung a hammer at him, which is a lie. Michael Houlihan's a perjurer. And this is in the documentation that has arrived at your office via Federal Express. And it's also arrived at UPS and USPS. Silence of violence. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter, Alex Renzi, who made the decision at your repulsive shack District Attorney's office to force me into Alex Renzi. It's the assigned prosecutor to my appearance. So who is it? My last appearance in New York State Supreme Court, Alex Renzi, the supervising judge, told me I was finished and done, which is a lie. I'll be back before him because of what I'm doing to you right now on YouTube. What I'm doing to you is demanding information. There were two females standing behind me. I do not know if they're court employees or two females that are assigned prosecutors for my appearance before Alex Renzi. What's the answer? District Attorney Sandra Doorley. What's the answer? Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, who I believe is the de facto District Attorney in Monroe County because of the radical decline of Sandra Doorley's health. Does Sandra Doorley go into the office to work the standard 40-hour work week, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday employees at the District Attorney's office? Or does she work from home in Webster? Is she chauffeured into the office? Does she have a driver? What are the answers to these questions? You know the answers to those questions, and you will refuse because you're a ridiculous Hollywood cliche. You're above the law. So, this is my letter to Robert J. Valente, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, who's helping me move. Because you will pull up to me, you Benito Mussolini skinhead with your 5 vehicles, your 10-plus psychopaths, the handcuffs go on. You'll take me to the corrupt judge like Alex Renzi or Paul Samuelson or John P. Lomenzo Jr. I'll be declared guilty, and then I'll be back in Monroe County Jail again, or in Livingston County Jail, or whatever jail you want to deposit me in. How am I in Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, Todd Baxter? For my safety. Not from the inmates at Monroe County Jail. I was told when I was in Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, again, where a prosecutor didn't talk, this prosecutor never talked, that I had to be there for my safety, not from the inmates at Monroe County Jail, from the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that work at Monroe County Jail. And I've already been attacked by a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee at the jail. YouTube. This arrived on February 5th, the Blue Wall Silence, the most ridiculous cop cliche. Here, information at District Attorney Sandra Doorley and Blue Wall Silence. Those are the two links. It's everybody at District Attorney's office, Sheriff's office. The information I'm demanding is identification of my prosecutors. The Blue Wall Silence because of being violently attacked by Richard J. Seaton at the Penfield Public Library, an anonymous Monroe County Sheriff Office employee who attacked me at the pharmacy next to Wegmans at 2157 Penfield Road. So I'm demanding identification, which the dictionary definition of it is a means of proving a person's identity, especially in the form of official papers. A means of proving a person's identity. What's the identity of your psychopath, the sheriff's office that attacked me at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans? What is the identity of all my prosecutors assigned to my court appearances? Identification. Identify my prosecutors. District Attorney Sandra Doorley and you refuse, and that's why you're corrupt. So this is information. It's the cover letter. There's the email I sent to your office, Psychopaths Incorporated, District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office. And then I have a cover letter that I place on top of that email. And then I go to USPS, UPS, or now Federal Express, and I mail it to you. Well, I'm guaranteeing that it arrives by tracking it. So this is the cover letter here. Information, District Attorney Sandra, clarity attached for the Freedom of Information Law document. Mail the names of my prosecutor, signs my court appearance, the address below, in Rochester, New York. So that's information, and here's your email addresses about what I just said. Here's your email addresses here at District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office. There's the same link, information at District Attorney Sandra Doorley. It says, comply with the attached Freedom of Information Law documents. Mail the names of my prosecutor, signs of my court appearance, the address listed below in Rochester, New York. That's February 5th. This specifically precisely is why you're corrupt. How is it possible that a district attorney refuses to identify her own employees that are assistant district attorneys for the court appearance of a defendant? That's insane. And I've used that word, insane, previously to describe you to the district attorney's office. And speaking of insane, February 4, 2023, Regina Harper, Monmouth County Public Defender's Office, 10 North Fitzhugh Street, Rochester, New York, 14604. Mark Phillips, Monmouth County Public Defender's Office, 10 North Fitzhugh Street, Rochester, New York, 14604. YouTube, for Regina Harper, Mark Phillips, and Monmouth County Public Defender's Office. I'm telling my former public defenders to identify my prosecutors of silence, and Mark Phillips and Regina Harper are refusing, and that's insane. The same link, Psychopaths Incorporated, Sheriff Todd, Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, Judge Alex Renzi. To Regina Harper, Mark Phillips, is the sentence. Mail the names of my prosecutors, signs of my court appearance, the address listed below in Rochester, New York, Christopher Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. It's on February 4th that I sent this, but they didn't receive it, which I'll get to momentarily. That letter that I placed in the mail multiple times now since February 4th, Regina and Harper, Mark Phillips did not get the physical copy that I'm holding. And that's insane. February 2nd, here resigns the cover letter, Psychopaths Corporate, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, Judge Alex Renzi. YouTube, for Laura Riley again. It's my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley. I lived with in Webster and Penfield. Took everything I owned to a storage locker. Every single thing I own is gone. My books, my bed, my clothes, my bikes, my running shoes, my dress greens from the 101st Airborne Division. Every single thing I own is gone because of my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, who's taken my things to this storage locker in Webster. I'm locked out of my residence when I'm in Livingston County Jail without a court order. Antonino Spano and Giuseppe Spano were my former landlords. The 47-year-old son, Giuseppe Spano, is dead. I hope hell's 5,000 degrees for him. Antonino Spano Fairport did this to me. He thinks because I don't have a lease, he can obliterate me this way. When I filed a criminal complaint about Antonino Spano locking me out, taking everything I own to his storage locker, using my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, who I've known for 35 years, Antonino Spano's not going to be arrested because you don't know what a crime is at the George Costanza District Attorney's Office, where the opposite is the truth. So this is February 1, Lisa Gray. Lisa Gray, eject yourself from fanaticism, corruption, and hatred. Disclose the names of my prosecutors, which I'm telling you to do right here, because I contacted YouTube for Perry Douglas, the Monmouth County District Attorney's Office. In this YouTube to Perry Douglas, I'm telling him to disclose the names of these taxpayer-supported public employees and fanatics assigned to my court appearances. Perjurer, 73,312, Michael C. Houlihan, the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office. Violence, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, and $75,904, Richard J. Seaton. If you believe at the District Attorney's Office that you and your friends and family members are not targets for these psychopaths at the Sheriff's Office, like Michael C. Houlihan, who's a perjurer, lied under oath to the grand jury center, swung a hammer at him on my back porch in Penfield. Richard J. Seaton walks into the Penfield Public Library, violently attacked me, slammed his arm into the side of my head. I fell backwards, and because of the force of Richard J. Seaton's arm hitting me in the head, my head bounced off the ceramic tile. If you think at the District Attorney's Office, either you yourself are not targets for this Leviathan that's the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, or your friends and family members, your husbands, your wives, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your aunts, your uncles, your mothers, your fathers, you're insane. So here's YouTube you want to know what the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office employees are paid, I read their most recent salaries. It says YouTube, public employees' salaries disclosed. Sheriff Todd Baxter, public employees' salaries disclosed. District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So this is January 26th here, where it's only one word for each one. And to you, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, comply with the attached PDF dated January 26th. That is 73 Freedom of Information Law documents. This includes identification by process, silence, mailing information, and demand the address in the FOIL. YouTube, fanaticism, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi, perjurer, 73,312, Michael Sealand, and Mount County Sheriff's Office, violence, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, $75,904, Richard J. Seatman, rejection, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Alex Renzi, accountability, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi, resign. Copy 2, Trinity Ross, United States Attorney for Western District of New York, Mark Phillips, Christina Harper, Mount County Public Defender, Alex Renzi, Supervising Judge, New York State Supreme Court, Paul C. Metro James, the only Junior Penn Court, and Perry Douglas, the District Attorney's Office. When you got this, Perry Douglas, the fact you looked at it, you could see here the links. And I'm telling you to disclose my prosecutor's silence, and you refused. Why? This is January 26th. That was the cover letter. And this is the email here. This is a Gmail account. Use Gmail and Proton to communicate with you psychopaths. January 26th, comply with the attached PDF dated January 26th. That is 73 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your office via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information I demand to the address below in Rochester. This includes identification of my prosecutor's silence. You refused. This is January 24th here. The Utah Baxter Sandra Doorley, the perfect two-word description for you. You freaks. Again, I'm telling you the same thing. 70 Freedom of Information Law documents arrived in your office. You refuse to disclose. This is January 18th. It's called rejection and accountability. Rejection, because you're refusing to provide this information to me. Accountability, you're not accountable to anyone. And Todd Baxter, I'm going to show you a photograph. And you refuse to answer this question, too, about a photograph. And this photograph is the sick lunatic fringe, Todd Baxter. Because you, Todd Baxter, are the sick lunatic fringe. What am I talking about? That's not the color photo, which is what I was looking for. That's the black and white. This is 2025 Penfield Road. Todd Baxter. That's called surveillance device. Is this private technology from this business, 2025 Penfield Road, called Consumer Insights, where Elliot Roth is the president? Or did you buy it and fix it for me with taxpayer dollars? Christina Harper sent me the links. I've seen myself on this contraption over and over and over. What's the answer, you Benito Mussolini skinhead? The cover letter. Here, January 16th. Sheriff Todd Baxter, 137 Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, New York, 14604. This photograph is why you're a fanatic. This photograph is why you're an extremist. This photograph is why you're a liar. This photograph is why they know the name of your $67,000 disgusting act, Shannon Meyer. This photograph is why people hate the police. She's now paid $83,000. This is the nightmare cop for every citizen in Monroe County. And you gave this nightmare cop, Shannon Meyer, a $16,000 raise for writing a warrant for my arrest for a parking lot I've walked in 4,000 times. So this is January 14th to Jansen McNair, the Office of Public Integrity. On this January 14th, I have a YouTube that says corrupt. I want the most basic word for you, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley. Corrupt. Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi. Here's all your emails at Psychopaths Incorporated. You're refusing every single time. And so are my public defenders. I will never know who watches me. My public defenders, Regina Harper and Mark Phillips, must know that I'm on YouTube and demanding this, because that's why the envelopes come back to me from my public defenders. Regina Harper, what are the names of my prosecutors? Quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. You know the name. And it's insane for you to refuse to provide me this name. It's a taxpayer-supported public employee that is responsible for total silence in court that's assigned to my court appearances. Where this assistant district attorney knows this assistant attorney doesn't have to talk in court for me to be delivered to jail. Regina Harper, what is the name of the prosecutor who is not backing down? Mark Phillips, what are the names of all my prosecutors? If you were in jail, Mark Phillips, Regina Harper, without a prosecutor talking court, I guarantee you would reach the conclusion that your civil and constitutional rights have been violated. Do the lives of others matter? Mark Phillips and Regina Harper of the Public Defender's Office. For you, the answer is no. It's just another job for you. You're just going through the motions. Innocence and guilt is totally irrelevant to you. So this is January 10th. This is the cover letter, 72 Freedom of Information Law documents, where I'm also demanding, if you're using taxpayer dollars, settle what I call employment-related discrimination lawsuits under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and this is sexual harassment at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office you're refusing. This is January 10th, complied with the attached PDF dated January 10, 2023. There's 70 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your office via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information I demand to the address below in Rochester. This includes the names of my prosecutors silence. Right here, January 5th, everybody up here at the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, different email, a Proton email. I only use it once, so I know I can't be blocked. Apply with the attached PDF dated January 5th, 2023. There's 66 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your offices via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mailing information I demand to the address below. This includes identification of my prosecutor's silence. This is December 26th, where I'm telling you the same thing. This is December 22nd, where I'm telling you the same thing, using a different email. And on that January 1st, when I communicated with you, Perry Duckles, it says right here. This went to you, Perry Duckles. This is from Christopher Chichester1 at USA.com. That's limited email recipients. This went to Paul C. Metz from Penfield Court, you, Perry Duckles, Todd Thurston at the Sheriff's Office, and Mark Phillips. Mark, did you read this? I expect this bald-headed, skin-headed widow, Paul C. Metz, just to blow this up, but I'm not really asking her for any information. I'm telling Todd Thurston, Sheriff Baxter's 82,000 employee, what's happening to me. He's the community engagement officer, I think is his title. So this is what I wrote to you, Perry Duckles. Do you not understand the English language, Perry Duckles? This arrived in your office, too. I understand if I'm not watching it blowing off because I'm on YouTube, but this is in your office. You have it. Your boss has had this in front of her if she opened up UPS, if she opened up the United States Postal Service, and if she opened up FedEx, which I'm now using. And this says to you, Perry Duckles, that has been in documentation sent to your office since January 1, 2023. Perry Duckles, District Attorney, 47 South Fitzhugh, Rochester, New York. Attached to PDF is a 61-page Freedom of Information Law document dated December 20th, 2022 that arrived in your office via UPS. This documentation also arrived December 22nd, 2022 and December 26th, 2022 via UPS. It was tracked. You have it. Print each. Bring it to your corrupt boss, District Attorney Sandra. Tell this pathetic accumulation of health afflictions to send the information to my UPS address listed below. Includes the names of my prosecutor's silence. What's not to understand? I've demanded names of my prosecutor's silence for 18 plus months. I'll be in court again because your fellow psychopaths know it takes only one corrupt judge to silence Renzi in New York State Supreme Court or Paul C. Metz in Little Penfield Town Court to declare me guilty of criminal charges you could cop. A prosecutor has never talked in court for me. Yet I've been in jail 6 times. This is fanaticism and hatred at your office that deserves the attention of the United States Department of Justice. You received the same FOIL documentation dated January 2nd, 2023. On January 3rd, 2023, that compels you to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence. You will continue to refuse and crave silence, and that's exactly right. You refused and craven silence because you're cowards at the District Attorney's Office. And this is called 61. It's called 61 because there were 61 Freedom of Information Law documents. We went 0 for 61. And for my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, took everything I own to the store's locker. I have nothing because of you, Todd Baxter, Sandra, Doorley. And this is called on December 19th, Defiance. It's called Defiance because I know you're going to refuse, and you did. The foil's in there. That day it had 58. I changed the number because I'm always thinking about new ways to demand information from you. It's November 28th. Demanding you disclose the names of my prosecutors. This is the most difficult email I've ever had to read. I'm not going to read this again. This is exhausting. Well, I'm telling my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, who I've known since January 4th, 1986, and who was once an angel. I used to think about her all the time. I would think she's an angel. I don't think this anymore about her. And she didn't respond to this. This is on January 25th, 2023. So this is over 3 weeks ago. It requires a court order, one, to lock me out of where we used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive. Anthony Ospano Fairport locked me out. He locked the front door. Changed the lock on the front door. He fixed the lock on the sliding glass, thought it was broken. Then he removed the key with the New York Mets logo I had underneath the back porch. Anthony Ospano Fairport did this to me because the dead Sandra was my landlord. Can't do it because he's 6 feet under. When I write the criminal complaint about Anthony Ospano locking me out without a court order, taking everything I owned to a storage locker in Webster, New York, using my ex-girlfriend Laura Riley, Anthony Ospano's not going to be arrested at the George Costanza District Attorney's Office. Anthony Ospano's not going to be prosecuted at the George Costanza District Attorney's Office. Anthony Ospano's not going to be arrested at the George Costanza Sheriff's Office because you don't know what a crime is at the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office. So, Kristen Long, you ever been arrested? A psychopath sheriff comes to the home of an innocent citizen and demands his dog. You do not know the love millions of American citizens have for their dogs. Your dog lights up your life whenever your dog's around you. And you know that fact if you own dogs at the district attorney's office, because millions of citizens own dogs. I'm not going to go into this because this really is exhausting. One phone call from Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah at 2033 Penfield Road, who went to the sheriff's office about me walking through a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. And there's the Monroe County Sheriff's Office at my front door demanding my little guy. The reason why I was able to adopt him from Lollipop Farm Humane Society, this wonderful, terrific organization where these saints at Lollipop place dogs in homes, that nobody wants these dogs. Layla Kumar Shah and Nairaj Shah that have been unleashed upon me by $83,000 Shannon Meyer of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office believes psychopath cops at a sheriff's office should come to home of an innocent citizen, demand his dog, when that innocent citizen, me, has walked my dog the same way for 7 years and 4,000 times. I'm going to contact Lollipop Farm Humane Society soon. Todd Baxter, this is your employee right outside where I used to live. I go to my sink one day, and there he is. I have other photographs of him, too. What are your employees doing right outside my window there? That's the same. That's the lunatic fringe. No reason for him to be out there. They were never there before. Can you see it clearly? I'm going to make a color photograph of this. Your employee that day, instead of doing the job on Penfield Road, writing speeding tickets, investigating a case somewhere in Monroe County, he's in his vehicle right outside my residence, doing nothing. Just like the employees are on the side of Wegmans every day. Why are employees at that business at 2157 Penfield Road, Todd Baxter, doing nothing at Wegmans? That's insane. A sheriff office employee that's outside a private business are your employees, Todd Baxter. Why is that? And I'm going to contact Danny and Colleen Wegman soon, and I'm going to ask Danny and Colleen Wegman if they're aware of your employees being at their business. And I believe the answer is yes. And I don't know why Danny and Colleen Wegman don't tell your employees to get the hell away from their business at 2157 Penfield. I've said this to you over and over, and I have a photograph of your employee driving right by me when I was walking into Fairport at Gold's Gym, Todd Baxter. Do you know what I'm talking about, you Benito Mussolini skinhead? About your employees being at Wegmans? And I don't think you do. You know why, Todd Baxter? Because you don't know what your own employees are doing. Todd Baxter.
Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, my name is Chris Johnchester. I've never committed a crime. I walk to the Penfield Public Library, sit down at the computer terminal. I see two Monroe County Sheriff Office employees walking toward me, one with the last name Siemens. I stand up, Siemens runs at me, takes his left arm, slams it into the right side of my head. I fell backwards, my head slammed against the ceramic tile of the library floor. The other psychopath with Siemens kicked me when I was down on the floor. My question is, Sheriff Todd Baxter, why is Siemens and your other psychopath following me into the Penfield Public Library? They waited outside my former residence, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, and followed me, violently attacked me. I'm taken down the hall to Paul C. Metz with his $28,000 skinhead widow waiting for me without a prosecutor present. There's no jury in there because there's never any jury in there. She declares me guilty of something, and then I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. And this began with Siemens slamming his arm into the side of my head and the other psychopath kicking me when I'm on the ceramic tile the night before. And what I just told you doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you what your response is. Your response, Sheriff Todd Baxter, is the blue wall of silence, which has been around since at least Frank Serpico in New York City, and you know exactly what that is, Sheriff Todd Baxter. You're the blue wall of silence. So this is not the first time I've followed in Penfield, New York. I leave my residence, and I'm walking by Wegmans at 2157 Penfield Road. And as I get to the pharmacy entrance, 5 of your vehicles converge upon me. One of your fellow psychopaths gets out of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, he runs at me, knocks me to the ground, and my head slammed against the concrete pavement. So it's a second violent attack. And there were 5 vehicles and 10 plus witnesses that I counted. And I can see one of them is your female employee with the short hair and the tattoos, and I've seen her subsequently. I've seen this female employee with the short hair and the tattoos that works for you. And I said to her, you saw this violent attack upon me at Wegmans at 2157 Penfield Road. I'm going to tell you what you did. You did nothing because you're the blue wall of silence. So I'm telling your own employee who witnessed this violent attack upon me at Wegmans that she said nothing and did nothing. And when I say this to her, she stared at me in total silence. So Sheriff Todd Baxter, what do you think about these 2 violent attacks upon me by your sworn officers of the law? Does it matter to you, Todd Baxter? Do I have civil and constitutional rights? For this second attack, I was driven to the University of Rochester Medical Center, and I had to get an MRI, where my head is pounding inside the MRI tube. And the technician says to me, stop moving your leg. I didn't know my leg is moving. And I was billed for that MRI. You're violently attacking me. I'm getting an MRI, and then I'm billed. I've said this to you on YouTube, and it does not matter to you that your employees are violently attacking me, because you, Todd Baxter, embrace violence, and you, Todd Baxter, are the blue wall of silence, because violence to you is irrelevant.
And what I just played there is irrelevant to you. Doesn't matter that I'm being attacked. As far as this employee with short hair and tattoos that works for you, Todd Baxter, I leave my temporary residence at 70 Liberty Pole Way in Rochester. I walk to Penfield Road. It took me about 45 minutes, I think. So I arrive at Penfield Road. The extension. The extension goes to Penfield Road. That's when I see the first Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee vehicle drive by me. I cross over to the other side of Penfield Road, to the sidewalk. Then I see a second Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee vehicle. A third, a fourth, a fifth. Now I know they're here for me. I continue to walk down Penfield Road. Your 5 vehicles reach me. They're stopping traffic on Penfield Road. It's 4 lanes. This is why you're a psychopath, Todd Baxter. I'm arrested along the side of Penfield Road. They place me in the back seat. I say to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, who is the female with short hair who saw me violently attacked at Wegmans, what am I being arrested for? And this employee points to the screen where it says attempted felony assault. I've already been in Livingston County Jail for this, you Benito Mussolini skinhead, and this is double jeopardy. You're in such desperation to arrest me, to obliterate me, to destroy me. The warrant was still out there, and you don't know that I've already been in jail for this when a prosecutor didn't talk in court. Double jeopardy on Penfield Road. Attempted felony assault, which is concocted by Michael C. Houlihan and Don Benedetto, who hit on the private property of my 72-year-old neighbor. Do you know what I'm talking about, you Benito Mussolini skinhead? Because I've talked about this repeatedly. Double jeopardy, Todd Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, perhaps you've heard, is unconstitutional. So this is the FedEx here. FedEx, where I'm communicating with you just like I have previously with the tracking at USPS here. So this is the third way. This is a new way I'm communicating with you. These cards come back to me here from the Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, Penfield Town Court, New York State Supreme Court. That's the United Postal Service card. This is the receipt that I get from USPS here. And my other way to communicate with you is UPS, United Postal Service. There's everything right there. So I have USPS, and this is now FedEx. This YouTube, I'm going to place this in a FedEx envelope to every single one of these employees whose names I'm going to read. Because what you received is the FedEx should arrive today, where it says one judge, the corruption of District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter. And it's the document that I've already been talking about here. This document here. This is dated February 19th, where it says vice. So that's what's arriving there. Corruption requires repetition. Right here. This says here, Todd Baxter, Sheriff. There's your name right there, Todd Baxter. There's your name right here, Sandra Doorley. There's your name, Michelle Crowley. How am I indicted when you don't call me to the grand jury? Do minutes exist of the grand jury? Does a transcript exist to the grand jury? Michelle Crowley, you refuse to answer all those questions. You're above the law. Lisa Gray, is the counsel's getting this? Lisa Gray won't tell me my prosecutors either. Trini Ross, United States Attorney for West District of New York. There's her name right there. Julie Cianca, who's the Monroe County Public Defender, is going to get this. Because perhaps the Monroe County Public Defender, Julie Cianca, will tell me the names of my prosecutors' silence because Regina Harper and Mark Phillips of the Monroe County Public Defender's Office refuse. And that's insane. It is insane for a public defender anywhere in the United States of America to disclose the name of a prosecutor assigned to the court appearance of a defendant. So Alex Renzi is going to get this. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. Lisa Preston, who is an employee of New York State Supreme Court. Perhaps that's his clerk, his bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzer from Penfield. That's her name. James P. Milley Jr., you think about the name Jermaine Bettman. James P. Milley Jr., from when I contact the House and Senate Judiciary Committee. So here you are, Mark and Regina. So your boss, the public defender, has what you're getting. And this is going to come back to me. When Mark Phillips and Regina Harper send the FedEx envelope back to me, I'll come back on YouTube. I'll hold it up and say, I said in a previous YouTube that my former public defenders, who I'm demanding they disclose the names of prosecutors, sending FedEx envelopes back to me. And that's it. So I'm going to soon have a stack of Federal Express receipts here. And this is the latest UPS here on February 14th, where all the names I just read there are in this UPS. And I went out to, I think it's Marketplace Mall, and I saw this excellent product at Spencer's Gifts. And I thought I should buy this excellent product to communicate with District Attorney Sandra Doorley and every District Attorney Office employee, and Sheriff Todd Baxter and every Monroe County Sheriff Office employee, and Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, and Paul C. Metzer in Penfield Town Court, and James Milley Jr. in Penfield Town Court, and Regina Harper at the Public Defender's Office, and Mark Phillips at the Public Defender's Office, and Janice McNair at the Office of Public Integrity, former employee of the Sheriff's Office, who has no integrity. So, a foil. This is a foil. That's a couch. I think there were, I don't know if you can see it up the glare on the phone. There were about 3,000 documents there on that couch. So I'm going to fill this out too soon. This is blank. This is the green card I just held up. This blank. I'm going to fill this out. I'm going to have your names on here at the District Attorney's Office. Lisa Gray, Sandra Doorley, Michelle Crowley. You can see I'm demanding you disclose the name of prosecutors. This receipt here is going to accompany him, and you refuse because you're corrupt. I can't even find out the names of my prosecutors' silence. So that's insane. Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Mark Phillips of the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? Regina Harper, Public Defender's Office. What are the names of my prosecutors' silence? That's insane. for them to return this to me. It's not a private law firm that I'm being represented by. I had to have a public defender because the United States Constitution requires it. I get these back in the mail, and I think, what are they thinking? What are Mark Phillips and Regina Harper thinking? Just tell me the names of my prosecutors. I'm not asking for a 10,000-word memo about how they function at the public defender's office every day. Just tell me what the names are. They have the names at the public defender's office at 10 North Fitzhugh Street, because I have an assistant district attorney assigned to every court appearance who has never talked. When I get those envelopes back and I look at their names, and I once had respect for Mark and Regina, and they're just as corrupt as the employees at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office. So, this Jansen McNair is a patronage hire at the Office of Public Integrity because he's a former employee of the sheriff's office. It's a patronage hire because if Jansen McNair is not a former employee of the sheriff's office, he's not at the Office of Public Integrity. So silence and violence is rained down upon me. The silence at the district attorney's office, where I'm in jail and probably never talked in court, and the violence at the sheriff's office, where I'm being attacked. At the pharmacy, Ancestor Wagons, the Penfield Public Library, Richard J. Sieben. And I've told Janice McNair, the Office of Public Integrity patron hire this. Janice McNair sending my mail back to me. 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 Janice McNair, Office of Public Integrity, 45 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York. There's his name right there. It came back to me. Why is that? I don't know. I'll never know. I'll have to guess that he saw me on YouTube. Names of my prosecutors. The UPS store, 620 Park Avenue, Rochester, New York. That's the key that I use. And when I use this to see what's in that box, there's going to be documentation in there. We use psychopaths at the district attorney's office. They're going to force me in to another courtroom because there is going to be a psychopath at the district attorney's office who knows you can force me into a courtroom just to declare me guilty of the fiction that you concoct. There'll be new criminal charges for me because it'll be the fiction and the lie in the head of the assistant district attorney who forces me into a quorum, such as Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, without assistant district attorney knows. Now, one word has to be spoken, and that's the same. If Zachary Baxter was in jail for one day, Todd Baxter, your wife, Mary Baxter, would be in a rage. If Kevin Baxter was in jail for one day, your wife, Mary Baxter, Sheriff Todd Baxter, would be in a rage. If your daughter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, who is Erin Doorley, was in jail for one day without a prosecutor talking in court, you would be in a rage, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Do the lives of others matter? The answer is no. My name is Christopher Chichester. I'm an innocent man. I live in Rochester, New York.